So for the overview of Chinchou, I will be mainly talking about his pretty good moveset, in which he has Rain Dance, Surf, Thunder, and Confuse Ray. A pretty excellent combination, if you ask me. Especially when you couple it with his pretty respectable speed and his decent special attack. He can be quite a force. Obviously, the whole rain dance, getting it set up and everything is probably the most important thing to do with him. Followed by using Surf or Thunder, which obviously Thunder gets the accuracy boost, and that is extremely effective when fighting water types like Azumarill here. And it also gets a stab bonus because Chinchou is part electric type. That's another great thing about Chinchou is his excellent water electric typing. Um, there just aren't that many Pokemon that have like such a excellent typing as Chinchou and Lantern do, and it really helps out. As a matter of fact, Chinchou has, as you will see throughout the rest of the video, very few like Pokemon that it can't counter or defeat in some manner. So next I'm going to go ahead and show you how it fares against Electrode, who is faster than it. But as you can see, despite the fact that Electrode is an electric type, with electric type attacks, Chinchou only takes normal damage from it, despite being part water type, because he is also part electric type. So that makes it extremely convenient, and obviously his access to Confuse Ray is also very important. Now we're going to look at the stats. Chinchou's stats aren't the most impressive out there, especially because he is a basic Pokemon. As you can see, he has very meh kind of defenses. Especially his defense, it's not that great. Special defense is a little better, but it's especially since you figure his main weaknesses are ground and grass types, so he will take quite a bit of damage from those, unfortunately. However, what we really want to look at is his speed. He outspeeds a large number of Pokemon, and that is very useful for when trying to set up Rain Dance and Surf and Thunder combinations, or trying to get a Confuse Ray in on a Pokemon before they can attack if the other move options don't seem good for the time, or good for the situation. Charizard, on the other hand, is one type of Pokemon that is very respectable stat-wise. However, his attacks aren't very effective against Chinchou. None of them are, even though with stab boost. And his speed, he does outspeed Chinchou though, and that's the only thing. But like I said, Charizard can't do that much against Chinchou regardless, which is nice. Look at Geodude. Geodude is basically the opposite, considering the fact that he has Earthquake, which is an extremely powerful move against Chinchou, and that can be extremely devastating, and that's not something that we would look forward to at all. But his speed, on the other hand, is much, much lower than Chinchou's. So Chinchou can easily wipe out Geodude with Surf, even without Rain Dance powering it up. Next Pokemon we're going to compare him to is Lantern, his evolved form actually. If you look, Lantern's stats, pretty much all of his stats, are improved over Chinchou's, except for one important one, and that is speed. Speed is actually lower than Chinchou's, which, if you look, also another thing too that is different, that is kind of major, is Lantern does not have access to Rain Dance. He does, however, have access to Supersonic, which causes confusion, just like Confuse Ray did. And the addition of Flail, it can be an okay attack. Spark, same thing. Although I think Chinchou's Rain Dance and Thunder make it a little better, because the Rain Dance bonus for Surf will make it somewhat more comparable to Hydro Pump, and that added speed will help especially since Lantern has a lower speed. If you're trying to use Flail, that might not work out unless you're fighting a much slower Pokemon. And the next Pokemon we're going to take a look at here is Quagsire. And the reason why we're going to be looking at Quagsire here is because he's one of the few Pokemon that can effectively counter Chinchou. However, he does not have a higher speed, and that's pretty key. That and the fact that his special defense, it's pretty good, it's pretty respectable. His defense is obviously a lot better, and thankfully Chinchou doesn't have to worry about defense. Quagsire's defense. He can just attack him with special attacks because that's all he has. Not to mention, using Confuse Ray to get in a few extra potential hits on him. But obviously what we really want to be concerned about is Quagsire's Dig and Surf. Well, not necessarily the Surf so much, but his Surf will also be powered up by Rain Dance, so you kind of got to watch for that, especially if you like swap out Chinchou, or Chinchou gets defeated or something like that by Quagsire and Rain Dance is still in effect. Dig, though, can be potentially threatening, and I'll go over that more later in the video. Next, we have Skiploom. Skiploom is by far, at least in my opinion, the biggest threat to Chinchou. I say if a Skiploom, or really any other grass type for that matter, comes out, you probably want to switch Chinchou out. But I mainly say this about Skiploom because he has access not only to Synthesis, which is a healing move, that's dangerous enough in itself, because the grass flying typing will allow Skiploom to just take normal damage from Thunder, and Surf won't be very effective even with Rain Dance. Your only hope really would be Confuse Ray. But the main problem is you could still use Thunder, and you could probably defeat him, except for the fact that Skiploom has Sunny Day. And that is another thing I'll go over with later in the situation section of this video. Due to Chinchou's mostly mediocre stats, with the exception of his speed is what really kind of raises the rating for this particular category. He can outspeed most notably most ground types, with the exception of maybe a very small handful, which is very important because he can get off Surf before they can get off their super effective ground type moves. But just due to the overall mediocrity of his stats, especially his defenses, which are like his main weakness, I'm just going to give him a B- for the stats category. Next we'll be looking at a variety of situations that Chinchou could possibly be in and how he'll end up dealing with these situations. So first we have Chinchou versus a Snorlax. And the reason why I chose Snorlax is because Snorlax is large HP, good defenses. He's not extremely weak to any of Chinchou's attacks. So just kind of see how he fares. And so obviously I'm going to open up with Confuse Ray. That way we can potentially start getting damage done to Snorlax right off the bat as soon as possible. Because as you can see, he has quite a enormous amount of HP. And we want to get that down as fast as possible. And then I use Rain Dance because obviously whether I'm using Surf or Thunder, we want that boost. There's another thing too, is this particular Snorlax has Fire Punch, which will be weakened additionally by Rain Dance. So it's just kind of like an added bonus for us. Overall, I don't show the whole thing because it takes quite a few turns to take him down. But the point is, Chinchou does a pretty decent job of taking down an opponent like a neutral opponent like this with fairly high defenses and HP, stuff like that. So it might take a while, but with the addition of Confuse Ray, that definitely can help a lot. And if I mostly just use Surf against Snorlax, but because he's not that fast anyways. But if it is a faster Pokemon, or if it's a Pokemon you think is more of a threat, you can always use Thunder to try to get the percent chance of paralyzing him, and obviously Paralysis and Confusion. That would be a great combination against any Pokemon you're facing. So for this particular situation, Chinchou actually does pretty well in. The next situation we're going to look at is Chinchou versus Skiploom, and this is by far the biggest problem that Chinchou is going to run into here. I could have put this in the weaknesses section, but even if Skiploom does not have any super effective moves against Chinchou, it can still pose a serious threat just by biding its time and with keep using Sunny Day and getting rid of Rain Dance. For instance, like this particular Skiploom just uses Headbutt against me at first, so it may not seem like initially like much of a threat, because like I said, you might be like, oh, I can just use Rain Dance and then hit it with Thunder a couple times because of the accuracy boost. Well, the problem lies with Skiploom's higher speed, which it is just barely faster than Chinchou, and it can get off that Sunny Day before you can get off your Thunder attack, which, if you don't know already, Sunny Day lowers Thunder's accuracy to 50%. So chances are you probably won't get off too many Thunder attacks. I mean, you could get lucky, but your best bet is to just switch out of Chinchou, or maybe use Confuse Ray. But like I said, I would really just recommend switching out. As you can see, Chinchou matches up against Snorlax's situation pretty decently. In similar situations like that, he should do okay in. Like I said, he can use Confuse Ray to kind of stall some time and potentially paralyze them with Thunder. But obviously the Skiploom situation poses a huge threat for Chinchou, and you're going to want to switch out of that pretty much every time. So because of that, mainly, that's the only reason why I'm not going to give it an A. I'm just going to give it a B, just flat B grade for situation. So next up, though, we have weaknesses. For weaknesses, I'm going to start off with kind of an obvious one, and that is the ground types. Chinchou obviously has a weakness to ground types, especially like moves like Earthquake in particular. The other moves he can more or less withstand. Maybe Magnitude 10, he'll probably get taken out. Earthquake, I say, though, is your biggest threat. So you want to worry about opponents like Donphan, who have stab boost when using Earthquake. This particular Donphan doesn't use it, but I'm just basically showing this footage anyways to prove the point that if you're pretty sure that your opponent has access to a strong ground type move like Earthquake or Magnitude or even Dig or something like that, even Mud Slap maybe, although it's not as maybe not as important. You might not want to waste the turn setting up with the Rain Dance. Instead, just going straight with Surf and pounding away at them, because you can take them out in 2 hits easily. Pretty much any ground type, except that it is for Quagsire. And Quagsire's defenses, like I mentioned earlier, are pretty good. Speed, not so much, which is nice because that can come in a use because you can start pounding away his health while he's still trying to attack. As you can see here, Quagsire knows Dig, which is pretty dangerous, but on the bright side, it will give you a turn to set up your Rain Dance if you haven't already. Because as you see, Chinchou survived. Dig, even with the stab bonus and it being super effective against Chinchou, still, is not going to be a one-hit KO usually. And even with Quagsire's extremely high attacking stats. But a few Surfs, especially if you do get Rain Dance in, and you should still take Quagsire out pretty easily. On the other hand, I put in this footage because this one did kind of pose kind of a problem for Chinchou. This Haunter may not seem like a huge threat. It uses Shadow Ball here. It lowers my special defenses, and it took out 62 HP, which is, a third of my HP essentially. And so I try to set up the Rain Dance on this turn. However, as you noticed, this Haunter is faster than Chinchou, so that kind of poses a problem because now he's going to get in 2 attacks before I have to set up for Rain Dance. And unfortunately, that is more than enough time for him to get off his finishing blow here of Giga Drain, which took me out. And I mean, you figure it took out 100 HP. I don't know if it would have been a one-hit KO, but it probably would have done nearly one-hit KO. and part of that I think was because of the lowered special defense. But I just wanted to point out that even if you're fighting a Pokemon that has a super effective move that they don't get a stab bonus for, you still really want to watch out for that, and you might want to switch out of Chinchou due to his kind of mediocre defensive stats. So other than that, Chinchou, I think for weaknesses, deserves maybe a D minus, I would say. And in conclusion, overall, Chinchou is a pretty good Pokemon to lead off with for several battles. Just due to the wide range of Pokemon that he can hit. Like I said, almost every Pokemon, like with the exception of grass types, really. Grass types are really the only exception that he will struggle against majorly. Even ground types, which are super effective against him, he can easily wash them away with Surf, pretty easily. And like just a lot of Pokemon are just either weak to water or electric type attacks, and that makes them extremely useful, especially when you basically boost the accuracy of Thunder and the power of Surf with Rain Dance. And then you throw in Confuse Ray, which is just a pretty great move for stalling or trying to deal extra damage to an opponent with higher HP like Snorlax, and you got a pretty good Pokemon. So in conclusion, although in separate parts, Chinchou is just like a little above average, getting kind of B ratings, I'm still going to give Chinchou an A minus rating overall, just because of the fact of his usability, his great type coverage, and his ability as a good leadoff Pokemon. That's it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed.